Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a topic that might sound a little, well, academic, but I promise you it's at the very heart of modern healthcare, nursing research. And look, this isn't just about people in white coats in some lab. This is about what's actually driving real, tangible change for patients every single day. So, let's get right into it. You've probably heard this question a million times, right? Whether you're in nursing school or working on the floor, it always comes up. Is nursing an art or a science? Is it all about that human touch, that intuition and compassion? Or is it about hard data and evidence? Now, for a long time, the easy answer has been, well, it's both. And that's true. But today, we're going to zero in on this science part of that equation because research is making it more powerful than it has ever been before. And to really get why that is, we've got to take a step back and look at how things have changed. I mean, there's been this massive, fundamental shift in how nursing gets done. Okay, so think about it. For ages, a lot of nursing was just tradition, right? You did something a certain way because that's how the person who trained you did it. It was all about this is how we've always done it. But today, that's just not good enough. Modern nursing is all about something called evidence-based practice, or EBP, and that's a total game changer. It's about throwing out that old mindset and replacing it with, okay, what does the actual data say is the best way to do this? And you know, this didn't just happen overnight. This whole idea goes way back. I'm talking all the way back to 1854 with the one and only Florence Nightingale. During the Crimean War, she wasn't just tending to wounded soldiers. Nope, she was a total data geek. She was collecting numbers, making charts, and proving with cold, hard evidence that improving sanitation saved lives. She was basically the original nursing researcher. That same spirit of asking why and demanding proof just grew and grew. And now, today, evidence-based practice is the absolute gold standard. It's what everyone strives for.
Okay, so we've talked about why it's so important, but what are we actually talking about here? What even is nursing research, really? Let's break down the official definition. All right, here we go. It's a systematic, scientific inquiry designed to develop trustworthy evidence. Now, let's just pause on that for a second. Systematic, that's a key word. It means there's a plan, a structure. This isn't just guesswork or a random idea. And the whole point is to develop trustworthy evidence. That's the end game. Creating a solid, reliable foundation for everything nurses do. And you'll notice it's not just about what happens at the bedside. This applies to everything, how nurses are taught, how hospitals are run, even the tech they use. So let's dig into that a little more. Why systematic? Well, it's how you avoid bias. It's how you get to the truth. And research isn't just about finding brand new stuff. A huge part of it is actually testing the things we think we already know. You know, that procedure that's been done the same way for 30 years? Well, research might show there's a much better, safer way to do it. It's about constantly questioning and improving. All of this work builds up this incredible library of trustworthy evidence so that when a nurse has to make a split-second decision, they're making the best possible one for their patient. So, what's the point of all this? What is all this research actually trying to do? Well, you can boil it down to 4 main goals, or purposes. And if you understand these 4 things, you can really see how a simple question can turn into a life-saving action. These 4 aims really build on each other, kind of like steps on a ladder. They are description, explanation, prediction, and control. Let's take a look at each one. First up, we have description. This is the starting point. It's like being a detective, showing up at a crime scene. Your first job is just to observe and take notes. What's going on here? So a study might look at the stress levels of parents who have kids with leukemia. The goal isn't to fix the stress right away. It's just to get a really clear picture of what's happening. Okay, so once you've described the what, the next logical step is to figure out the why. And that's explanation. This is where you start connecting the dots. Why is this happening? Why are some patients more likely to get an infection? Why does this health education program work for some people but not others? It's all about finding those hidden relationships. And this is where things get really cool. Once you can describe and explain something, you can start to predict it. This is when research stops being theoretical and becomes an incredibly powerful tool in the clinic. I mean, think about risk assessment scales, like the ones that predict if a patient is likely to develop bed sores. By plugging in a few pieces of information, a nurse can see the future, in a way, and take action before the problem even starts. Which leads us perfectly to the final step, control. If you can predict that a patient is at high risk for something bad, what do? You intervene. You take control of the situation to get a better result.
So you predict the risk of bed sores, and then you prescribe a special mattress to prevent them from ever happening. See how it all connects? That's research turning into real-world action that helps a patient. Okay, so we've walked through the four purposes, the theory behind it all. But what does that actually look like on a busy Tuesday afternoon in a hospital? How does a bunch of data and a research paper actually influence a decision a nurse makes for you or your family?
And that's a totally fair question to ask, right? The word evidence can sound so vague, so academic, but it's not. It's actually very, very real.
In fact, it looks exactly like this. Now, don't worry about understanding every single number on this chart. This is from a study about patients with COPD. Just look at the big picture. You can clearly see patterns, right? You can see how different medications are used for patients with different levels of the disease. This kind of data lets doctors and nurses see what's working, what's not, and make smarter decisions based on what's happening with thousands of other real patients. This is evidence. It's not abstract at all.
And this all circles right back to that term we mentioned, evidence-based practice. The best way to think about it is like a three-legged stool. The first leg is the best research evidence, like that chart we just saw. The second leg is the clinician's own professional experience and expertise. And the third leg, which is just as important, is the patient's own values and preferences. What does the patient want? All three have to be there for the stool to be stable. Take one away, and the whole thing falls apart. The best care happens when all three come together.
So, let's get down to the bottom line. Why is this so important? Why should we care so much about all of this?
Well, the number one reason, of course, is to make patients better, to improve their outcomes. That's the ultimate goal. But it goes way beyond that. Good research proves that nursing is a real science with its own specialized body of knowledge. It helps nurses be accountable for the care they give, and in a world where money is always a concern, it can actually show that providing high-quality nursing care saves money in the long run. So really, it's a win-win-win. A win for the patient, a win for the nurse, and a win for the whole system.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one last number. And honestly, it's a bit of a shocking one. 17. 17 years.
What is that? That's the average amount of time it takes for a new research discovery to actually make it into everyday clinical practice. 17 years. Think about that. A major breakthrough could be discovered today, but it might not actually help the average person in a hospital for almost 2 decades. That's a huge gap. And that right there is exactly why this stuff is so critical. We all have a role to play in closing that gap and getting the best science to the bedside faster.
Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. It's about a single, simple mission, giving every single patient the absolute best, highest quality, and most cost-effective care possible.
So I'll leave you with this thought. The next time you're at work or even just thinking about healthcare and you have that little thought, I wonder if there's a better way to do this. Don't dismiss it. Because that simple question, that could be the spark for the next huge breakthrough in nursing research. Thanks for watching.